Right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to part 3 of Slime. So let's have a quick recap. Ned found all his sister's slimy things under her bed, and she was planning on making a really nasty trick on him. She was going to put it all in his annual birthday bath. So he decided that he was going to take all those nasty things like caterpillar wee and other nasty things, and he was going to put them in the bath and trick her. However, when he put them in the bath, it created Slime, who is this guy who can turn into anything. So there's him turning into a whale. And then Ned decided that they were, Ned and Slime became really good friends. And then Jemima, his sister, heard the noise and she came running and said, "What's that you're doing? What's that noise?" And Ned just said, "It was a particularly noisy poo." And then she said, "Noisy? More like thunderous. Open this door right now. I will boot it down. Bish, bash, bosh." That was the sound of her steel-capped boots kicking the door down. "Open it," said Slime. "What?" exclaimed Ned. "Let's play that trick on her." "Now?" asked the boy. "Bish, bash, bosh." "Goody, goody!" exclaimed Slime. "Bish, bash, bosh!" Splinters of wood exploded into the bathroom. "What should I be?" asked Slime. "A giant boot, perhaps. Boot her right back." "Excellent," replied Slime as it translimed into a giant boot. Bish, bash, bosh! The bathroom door smashed off its hinges, taking some of the wall with it. The door smashed to the floor. Thud! And dust exploded into the bathroom. At once, nobody could see a thing. "Ned!" bellowed Jemima. "Where are you?" Ned kept silent as the giant slimy boot, or sloot, appeared out of the dust cloud. "What the?" asked Jemima. The girl tried to boot the boot, but her foot got stuck in the slime. "Ah!" she screamed. Ned couldn't help but chuckle. "Ned!" screamed Jemima. "I will boot you up the bottom for this." "No, no, no," replied the sloot. "I will boot you up the bottom." With that, Slime let go of the girl's boot. As Jemima tumbled to the floor, she swung her other boot up in the air and landed on her hands and knees. "Goodbye for now," said the sloot. It swung back, then boof! The girl was given a blobtastic boot in the bottom. "Ah!" she yelled as she bounced down the corridor. Swish! Before landing on the sofa in the living room. Twang! Instantly, Jemima leapt from the sofa and began stomping down the corridor. Stomp, stomp, stomp. "Wait until I get my hands on you, Ned. I'll boot you from here to the next island." "We need to get out of here, Slime," exclaimed Ted, "and fast." "But how?" asked Slime, now back to being a blob. Ned looked up at the tiny bathroom window just above the toilet. It was not much bigger than a cat flap. "That is the only way out of here," he said, pointing. "But I'm never going to get my wheelchair through there." "You won't need it today. Let me be your wings." "Wings?" The boy was flabbergasted. Slime translimed into a pair of wings. They stuck themselves onto Ned's shoulders and began to flap. The boy felt himself being lifted out of his wheelchair and floating through the air. "Wow!" he exclaimed. The wings wouldn't fit through the window, so, holding the boy, Slime translimed into a slide. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Just before Jemima reached the bathroom, Ned whooshed down the slide and out of the window. Whoosh! "Ned!" screamed Jemima, but the boy was free. Chapter 9, Slime Ball. Ned slid down the slide of slime at speed. Whoosh! His family's cottage stood on the edge of a cliff overlooking the sea. If the boy didn't stop sliding, he was going to be hurled off the edge to meet his end on the rugged rocks below. Ned saw the bottom of the slide approaching fast and screamed, "Ah!" He shut his eyes tight He couldn't bear to watch what was about to happen. But in the blink of an eye, the slide of slime became longer and longer and longer still. Then it arched and twisted, and the boy found himself doing a loop-the-loop on his bottom. Ah! He screamed again, but this time in pleasure. He had never had so much fun. The slide of the slime arced away from the cliff and onto some fields near the cottage. It kept getting fatter and fatter until it wasn't a slide any longer. Oh no, it had turned into a slime rink. A slime rink is a lot like an ice rink, but instead of ice, you guessed it, a slime rink. You guessed it, slime. A slink. The whole field was now covered in slime. Ned shot across it on his bottom. Whoosh! Whee! He exclaimed. Finally, he came to a halt. Then, at dizzying speed, slime translimed again. The edges of the slime rink curled up and it closed in on itself. Now slime had come together to form a giant ball. A slime ball. It rolled along the field with little Ned inside it. Then the slime ball began to bounce. It bounced and bounced and bounced. It bounced over a sheep. Bah! Donk. It bounced over a hedge. Rustle. Donk. And now it was bouncing along a lane. Up ahead, Ned could hear a tractor approaching. Chug, 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 chug. The sound of the mighty vehicle was growing louder and louder. The tractor was heading straight for them. Look out! Screamed Ned, not sure where Slime's eyes might be at this precise moment. It began bouncing. It being a giant bouncing ball and all that. Donk! Ned could feel the slime ball bouncing high up into the air. He heard the tractor pass underneath him. Just as Ned felt a wave of relief that he had not been run over by a tractor, he felt a wave of panic, because the slime ball he was inside was now high up in the sky. So high that it hit a flock of seagulls. Squawk, squawk, squawk. One of the seagulls pecked at the slime ball, and it burst. Pop. Instantly, Ned began tumbling through the air. Help! He cried. But Slime acted fast. It whizzed down ahead of him and translimed into a trampoline, a Slimerline. Ned hit the Slimerline at speed and bounced high up in the air. Boing, and again, boing. A smile spread across the boy's face. He was alive, and what's more, he was bouncing. Yippee! He yelled in delight. He yelled too soon. Looking down, he saw the Slimerline disappear from beneath him. No! He cried. Falling rapidly, the boy looked all around, but try as he might, he couldn't see Slime anywhere. This is the end, he thought. The road was below. The road below was speeding towards him. And then, swoosh! A giant eagle of every colour of the rainbow swooped down under Ned. It swept him high into the air, and now he was flying high above the sea, the cliff, the cottage. You really can be anything, cried the boy. Anything, exclaimed the bird of slime, or slurred. From all the way up here, the Isle of Mulch looked tiny. The houses looked small, the trees looked small, the people looked small. The people looked so small, in fact, that they were little more than ants. As for ants, they looked really, really, really small. For the first time in his short life, Ned felt like he had felt something he'd never had before. Power. Slime power. The boy had created something that could change everything. The Isle of Mulch was full of horrid grown-ups who made the lives of all children miserable. Now Ned could get his own back on all these nasty characters, not just for him, but for all the children of the island. There was no better time for Ned to start than now. Chapter 10. Wrath's Rules. This way, exclaimed the boy as he flew through the sky. Look, that's my old school. I want to introduce you to my horrid headmaster. Goody, goody, exclaimed Slime. So that is the Mulch School for revolting children. The bird flapped its wings and began swooping off in the direction of a terrifying Gothic building overlooking the sea. A huge sign outside read, "Mulch School for Revolting Children." A bell chimed. It was the beginning of the school day. Things started indecently early at Mulch School, at the break of dawn. That is how the headmaster liked it. The children having to get up in the middle of the night to be at school on time was all part of the torture. Ned smiled to himself at the thought of what naughtiness was to come as he began descending on the playground. Just as soon as the bird of slime's feet touched down, it placed Ned onto a bench and then translimed back into a blob. The blob loomed behind the boy like a great slimy shadow. "Let's give Mr. Rat something to be angry about," began the boy. "Goody, goody." Not surprisingly, after seeing a giant bird of slime land in the playground, the teachers all hurried out of the old school, pointing and shouting. "I don't believe it," shouted one. "I won't believe it," shouted another. "I will believe it, but I can't believe it," shouted a third. The pupils of Mulch School all pressed their faces up against the classroom windows to see. They were too frightened of the teachers to dare step outside into the playground without permission. Then a man with a long black gown draped over his shoulders stormed out of the building. He whisked the coat around theatrically as if he were Count Dracula twirling his cape. It was only his teacher's gown, but it afforded him an air of evil that he relished. Mr. Wrath, the headmaster, had a big bald head, so he looked like an egg with a little moustache drawn on it. This moustache would flare up whenever he exploded with rage, which was often. So often, in fact, that Mr. Wrath was in a rage more often than not. Take a look at this rageometer of Mr. Wrath's typical day. As you can see, his rage is literally off the scale. It is certainly off the page. Mr. Wrath raged at the children in Mulch School, as it was the only school that was all the children on the island. The lucky ones got whacked with a wooden ruler. The unlucky ones were whacked with a wooden ruler and then expelled. Landing giant birds in the playground is strictly forbidden," he raged at Ned as he marched towards him. Even though landing on a giant slime bird in the playground was not covered in the school rules, the headmaster was confident he could invent one. Mr. Wrath had invented a long list of his own rules over his 30-year reign of terror at Mulch School. Wrath's rules. Number 1. No comparing me to an egg. I do not look like an egg, eggs do not have moustaches, and I have a moustache. So that is the end of it. Anyone who does compare me to an egg will be expelled. Also, my head is a lot bigger than an egg, and I have ears, and last time I checked, eggs do not. Number 2. No breaking wind on school premises without a letter of consent from the headmaster. Even if a bottom burp comes out by accident when you catch a cricket ball, you will be expelled. Number 3. No laughing at school. You have not come into school to laugh. Crying, sobbing, or bawling of any kind is welcome, though. There is no better sound than a child blubbering. Anyone heard laughing will be struck with a wooden ruler and then expelled. Number 4. No excuses whatsoever for late homework. I don't care if your house took off in a tornado or you were abducted by aliens. If your homework is so much as 1 second late, you will be expelled. Number 5. No moaning about school dinners. Shoefish are incredibly tasty and can be used in every single dish in the school canteen. Shoefish spread, shoefish pie, shoefish stew, shoefish curry, shoefish cake, shoefish blancmange, shoefish mousse, shoefish surprise, the surprise being it is made of shoefish. Anyone overheard moaning about school dinners will be forced to finish their school dinner before being expelled. Number 6. No wearing your tie the wrong way round, so the skinny part is on the outside and the wider part is on the inside. Anyone found with their school tie on the wrong way round will be spun around by their tie and expelled. out of the window. Number 7. No playing in the playground. At break time and lunchtime, you are only permitted to stand around in the rain. There shall be no playing of games. Any child caught playing games will be forced to stand outside in the rain and then expelled. Number 8. No chocolate allowed on school premises. Any chocolate will be confiscated personally by me. I will then dispose of the chocolate by eating it. Anyone who refuses to hand over their chocolate to me will not be expelled. They will be held upside down by their ankles and dangled out of the window until they hand over their chocolate. After I have eaten their chocolate, then and only then will they be expelled. Number 9. No sneezing during lessons. It is disruptive to work. If you do feel a tickle in your nose telling you that a sneeze is coming on, then for goodness sake, wait until you return home and then sneeze. Anyone heard sneezing in school will be expelled, just as the sneeze expels snot from your nose. A handy metaphor, as children equal snot. Number 10. No complaining about how many rules there are in school. Anyone found complaining will not be expelled, as that is what they would want. Instead, they will be put down a year every year and forced to stay in school forever. Just ask Old Man Giles. He is 92 and he has been at Mulch School all his life. Ned was one of the hundreds of children who had been expelled from the school over the years. The headmaster had expelled so many children that there were now more teachers than there were children at the school, and this handy graph shows. But now Ned was back and he was ready for revenge. Chapter 11. Blazing Bottom. Mr. Rath had been careful not to expel all the children at his school. If he did, there would be no children left to expel. And he loved expelling children. Once a child on their very first day at the school was expelled for skipping through the school gates. It was a new record for Mr. Rath, expelling a child who'd been at the school for less than 3 seconds. As for Ned, the boy was expelled for the simple crime of laughing. Ha ha ha! In fairness to Mr. Rath, the boy was laughing because in art class the pupils were charged with decorating an egg for Easter, and Ned had painted his egg to look exactly like Mr. Rath. This was much to his and everyone else's amusement. "You boy," bellowed the headmaster, "what are you doing back in my school? You are expelled." "Hello again, sir," chirped Ned. He didn't sound too bothered. It is impossible to be expelled when you have already been expelled. "And what on earth is this monstrosity you have brought with you?" spat Rath. "What a dreadful little man," murmured Slurm. "Whatever shall we do to him?" Ned thought for a moment. "We need to teach the headmaster a lesson. Us kids have suffered his rages for long enough. Rath is always in a rage about nothing. Let's finally give him something to be really, really, really angry about. "Splendid. Now let me think." "Too late, Blobby," shouted Rath. "I'm going to punish this boy severely. Did you hear me? Severely." With that, the headmaster whipped out the long wooden ruler he had been concealing under his cloak. Rath lunged at the boy, ready to strike. Thwack, thwack, thwack went the ruler as it chopped through the air. Just as Mr. Rath was about to cause Ned excruciating pain, Slime shape-shifted into a giant octopus, a Sloctopus. One of the Sloctopus's arms wrestled the ruler from the headmaster, while another looped around the man's ankle. Before Mr. Rath could shout, "Expelled!" the Sloctopus lifted him high into the air. Ned laughed as he looked up to see his old headmaster upside down. "I will get you for this, boy!" screamed Rath. "I'm not sure you will," replied the boy. "Let him go!" shouted the teachers gathered in the playground. "Actually, I don't mind if you keep him," muttered the bearded deputy head. Mr. Lust had long been lusting after the top job at the school. "What now, my young friend?" asked the Sloctopus. "Spin Mr. Rath round like he spins round at that ruler of his," replied the boy. "I don't mind if I do." So the Sloctopus spun the headmaster faster and faster and faster still. It was as if Mr. Rath were on a particularly puke-tastic fairground ride. Right, we will leave it there for today. Hope you are enjoying. Hope you are enjoying that book, Slime. It'd be great actually if those of you that can, if you've got a computer, or even if you could take the work to school. I'm really interested to know what you think of these books. So if you've been listening to The Ice Monster and been listening to Slime, remember they're both by David Walliams, or any of the other Roald Dahl books. Maybe you could write a book review and tell me what you like about the books and why, what you don't like about the books and why, which one was your favorite so far. That would be really good. Which one was your favorite character? Anything that you want. If you could do that and then send that in, you could email it to our year 4 email address, year4@hobbingham.org, or you could write one out and take it into school. Okay, so hope you enjoyed that. I will be back here same time tomorrow, 10 o'clock, and I'll see you then. Till there, take care, guys. Bye.